In this video, I would like to explain one of the SQL operations called the projection operation. Before going over projection operations, let me cover the basic terms of the relational model database systems. One of the most important data structure you can find in the relational database systems is a table. So table kind of looking like, well, what else? Table. Also, it's formally called the relation. So that's why database systems we are using is called the relational database systems. In a table like this, in this case, employee table has columns like this. Okay, and also those columns are known as attributes. So these terms are sometimes interchangeably used between columns and attributes. So these terms like attributes are more formal terms used in a mathematics or some research community. But in SQL, most of the times we use the term columns. And these rows, well, known as rows, what else? And sometimes also known as tuples. Like attributes, tuples are more formal terms used in mathematics and other research communities. Number of rows known as a cardinality. So in this case, we count two rows, 101 and 102. So in this case, number of rows or cardinality of this table is 2. So obviously we don't count a heading. So this is a heading. So when we do not count a heading when you count a number of rows. When you count the number of columns, so in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4 is also known as a degree of a table, or the number of columns. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Degree is 4. Degree of this employee table is now 4. When you have a degree 1, it's also known as a unary table. So from time to time, you hear the term unary table or binary table. So obviously binary table is a degree 2. Alright, so let's talk about projection operation. So projection operation yields a vertical subset of a given table. So what that means is, so when you have a table like this, the projection operation provides a vertical subset. Some column, one column, two columns, or many columns, or the older columns. So projection operation provides a certain number of columns or the older columns. All right, so let's take a look at how we implement the project operation using SQL. SQL query has the following form. Select, from, where, group by, heading, and order by. In this tutorial, we're going to use most of times select and from. So after from, you can list a table or many tables. After select, we can have all those columns you want to project. If you remember in a previous page, columns and attributes are used interchangeably. So after select, we can list column names, and or attribute names. So let's look at actual example. And for your convenience, I created a table, EMP, and this time the schema is a DBO. And when you use a schema DBO, you don't have to type DBO all the time to specify the table name EMP so that you can save some typing. Okay, so, and also I inserted the data for you. So let's make a copy of this data definition and the data insertion script. Okay. And go to your database, and as you did in previous video lecture, just paste it. Okay, So now we have a data definition of a table, and also we populate the table using the data points. Okay, so let's execute the whole thing. Can you see that execute button? Okay, so it looks like it is successfully done. So as usual, let's confirm it. So go to your database, go to your table, and let's refresh it. Okay, so now we have employee table with the following columns like this. Okay, well, let's create a new query window. So let's take a look at the data. If you remember, the query for that is select star from the table name. Star means basically all columns in a table. The previously in previous video I specified a schema name dot table name, but as you can see here, we use the DBO as a schema. So DBO is a default schema, so you don't actually have to type. So I would like to save some typing here. Okay, so let's take a look. So here we have a table with a cardinality of 6. Okay, so 6 employees, and degree of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 columns with 6 rows. Okay, so this is a projection operation. So in this case, you project all columns using star, or you can actually the type the column names one by one, like this. So instead of using star, you can list all the column names, and basically you get the same thing. All right. So just or you can actually have only some of the column names. So how about this? Okay. Let me make a copy of this. So instead of showing all the columns, you can have only some columns like that. So if you execute it, then you can see only some column names. Alright, let's take a look at how we use aliases for column names. Sometimes we use a very short name for columns, or user unfriendly names for many reasons. One of the reasons can be saving some space for the table design, but it may not be so easy to communicate with the user when you try to show the data. In that case, we can use the aliases to explain the columns better. So at least there are two ways of doing it. One way of doing it could be using a bracket like this. So in our in our table we have L name, so we can just say bracket last name and a close bracket from amp, or you can use a single quote like that. Alright, so let's take a look. So let me make a copy of this and go to our SQL server. Okay, and let's see how it goes. So as you can see here, basically they show you last name and the last name. This output is from first statement, and this one coming from the second statement. By the way, if you want to make a hard copy for your output, what you can do is you can just choose this and the right mouse button, and you can find one of the menu items called the copy with the headers. So we can choose that, and then we can make a copy, and this can be very useful for your homework. Okay, now let's take a look at how we control the output from SQL queries. Syntax for that is order by. So when you order the output by some columns, there are two ways to control how it looks. One is ascending order, and the other one is a descending order. So let me show you on the SQL Server. So let me make a copy as usual. Okay, and go to our database and paste it. Okay, so the first statement is basically showing you emp ID L name from emp. So if you execute this part, actually this one is just like including order by emp. But if you actually want to make sure your output is ordered by emp ID in ascending order, you may want to do this like that. Or you can actually show the data by the descending order of emp ID. So let's take a look. So in this case, as you can see over here, the first one produce the data in the order of 101, 102 all the way to 106, and the second one showing 106, 105, 104 all the way down to 101. Okay. Or also you can use some other columns or columns in any ascending or descending order like this. Okay. Alright, so now let's take a look at what distinct does. When you have a duplicate data in certain column, sometimes you may want to see only the distinct the values. In that case, you can use distinct like this. So in this case, what it does is, when you have same last names, they only show you the unique last names from the table EMP. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so let me make a copy again, same as usual, and then go to our database. Let me clean the slate. Okay, and then how about let me show you what I mean by that. So if you do a usual SQL statement without distinct, it will be like this. Okay, so if you do this, you're going to have same the values like a Smith and Smith. So if you want to see only the distinct unique last names, what you need to do is you use a distinct for L name. So like this. So in that case, only one Smith shows up in the output. So let me execute both, and it's going to be more obvious. Okay, so the first one shows only Johnson with E and Johnson with O, and Smith with I, Smith with Y, and the second one basically shows everything from the emp table, like Johnson, Smith with I, Smith with I, and Smith with a Y, and a Wang. Alright,